Part 1. Introduction. Picture this. You're standing at a crossroads in a stormy forest, the wind howling with conflicting voices pulling you in every direction. One path is littered with the debris of unchecked egos, broken relationships, missed opportunities, endless regrets. The other is a quieter trail, lined with the sturdy oaks of self-mastery, leading to clarity and calm. Which do you choose? That's the mystery we'll unravel here. How recognizing foolishness in the world and within can unlock the Stoic superpower of unbreakable serenity. Stick with me as we dissect the problems these signs create, uncover Stoic solutions, learn practical ways to apply them, and wrap up with inspiring takeaways. By the end, you might just see the world and yourself a little differently. Let's begin by examining the core issues at play. Part 2. The problem. Now that we've set the stage with that intriguing crossroads, noise versus quiet mastery, let's dive into the heart of the matter. The problems these signs of foolishness create in our lives and society. Drawing from the essence of the original video, which highlights 8 telltale traits of a stupid person through a Stoic lens, I'll unpack why these behaviors aren't just annoying quirks but genuine obstacles to personal fulfillment and collective harmony. Remember, this isn't about labeling people harshly. It's about recognizing patterns that drain energy and stifle growth. As someone who's spent years immersing myself in Stoic writings, I've seen how these issues echo across time, from ancient Roman forums to today's digital echo chambers. First, consider the core problem: a world where speaking more than thinking dominates conversations. In the video, it's framed as fools filling every pause with noise, mistaking constant chatter for confidence. But let's analyze why this is so damaging. Psychologically, it stems from insecurity. People talk endlessly to avoid the vulnerability of silence, where self-doubt might creep in. From a Stoic viewpoint, this violates the principle of self-control, one of the 4 cardinal virtues, along with wisdom, courage, and justice. Zeno of Citium, Stoicism's founder, emphasized silence as a form of discipline, much like a soldier honing their restraint in battle. Historically, in ancient Athens, philosophers like Socrates used strategic silence to provoke deeper thought. But today, social media rewards the opposite. Platforms like Twitter, now X, and TikTok amplify quick, unreflected opinions, leading to misinformation spreads and polarized debates. I've personally encountered this in professional settings. During team meetings, the loudest voice often drowns out nuanced ideas, resulting in flawed decisions and wasted time. The broader issue? It erodes genuine connection. When people prioritize being heard over understanding, relationships become superficial, trust erodes, and communities fracture. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, journaled privately to refine thoughts before speaking, avoiding this pitfall. Without such pause, we risk betraying our insecurities, as the video notes, turning words into self-sabotage. Moving to the second sign, getting offended by truth. This isn't just defensiveness. It's a barrier to self-improvement. The video points out how fools attack the messenger to dodge the message, preferring flattery over accuracy. Why is this problematic? It perpetuates stagnation. In psychological terms, it's cognitive dissonance at play. When facts clash with self-image, the ego fights back to maintain comfort. Historically, Stoics faced this head-on. Epictetus, born a slave, taught that truth is a gift, even if painful, drawing from his own hardships under cruel masters. In modern contexts, think of cancel culture or workplace feedback sessions gone wrong. Honest critique is labeled toxic, halting progress. From my experience mentoring young professionals, I've seen talented individuals derail their careers by rejecting constructive criticism, surrounding themselves with yes-men instead. This creates echo chambers, as the video suggests, where growth halts and delusions thrive. Societally, it fuels division. Political discourse becomes about winning egos, not solving issues. Stoicism counters this by viewing truth as medicine, but ignoring it leads to deeper rot. As Seneca might say, turning minor flaws into chronic weaknesses. The third issue, blaming everyone but themselves. This habit, as outlined in the video, hands power to external forces, trapping people in victimhood. It's a refusal of responsibility, which Stoics saw as the key to freedom. Epictetus's famous dictum, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react," highlights this. Problems arise because blame shifts focus from actionable change to endless excuses, fostering resentment and helplessness. In history, consider how Roman emperors like Nero blamed others for failures, leading to tyranny, while Stoic leaders like Aurelius owned their responses amid empire-wide crises. Today, this manifests in everything from failed relationships, "It's always their fault," to economic woes, "The system's rigged." Personally, I've coached friends through breakups where blame prolonged suffering. Only when they owned their role did healing begin. The ripple effect? Societies bogged down by entitlement, where innovation stalls because no one takes the reins. It's fear disguised as justification, keeping people stuck in cycles of pain. Refusing to listen or learn compounds these problems, turning ignorance into arrogance. The video describes fools dismissing advice as criticism, building walls of certainty. This rigidity blocks evolution. Stoics like Seneca believed learning is lifelong, as in, while we teach, we learn. Without humility, knowledge remains superficial. In ancient times, Stoic schools encouraged debate to refine ideas, but modern equivalents like online forums devolve into echo battles. I've witnessed this in academic discussions. Stubborn participants halt collective insight, leading to missed breakthroughs. The danger? It breeds overconfidence, causing real-world harm, like leaders ignoring expert warnings on climate or health issues. Chasing attention over improvement is another modern plague. The video critiques seeking validation as a void filler, eroding self-respect. Stoics warned against this. Aurelius dismissed reputation as fleeting. Problems include performative living, people post for likes, not substance, leading to anxiety and inauthenticity. Historically, Roman gladiators sought crowd approval, but Stoics advocated quiet virtue. In my content creation journey, I've seen creators burn out chasing trends, losing their authentic voice. Societally, it prioritizes spectacle over substance, diminishing meaningful contributions. Repeating mistakes without reflection masquerades as experience but ensures stagnation. As the video says, it's stubbornness, not wisdom. Stoics like Seneca urged examining errors as lessons. The issue? Cycles of failure in careers, habits, relationships. I've helped clients break these by journaling failures, turning pain into progress. Without this, life becomes repetitive suffering, blocking potential. Confusing confidence with competence leads to hollow assertions. The video warns of arrogance without foundation. Problems? Poor decisions in leadership, as seen in historical figures like Caligula versus competent Stoics. Today, it fuels imposter expertise online. True skill requires doubt and practice. Faking it invites collapse. Finally, thinking loud opinions means strength turns discourse into dominance. The video contrasts this with Stoic calm. Issues: eroded civility, emotional exhaustion. Historically, Stoics like Aurelius maintained composure in war. Today, it explains toxic debates. The overarching problem? These traits stem from unchecked ego, disrupting peace and progress. In essence, these problems create a noisy, stagnant world where potential withers. But Stoicism offers a way out. Let's explore the solutions next. Part 3. Solutions from Stoicism. Having laid bare the problems, these pervasive signs of folly that disrupt our peace and progress, it's time to turn to the antidote, the enduring solutions offered by Stoic philosophy. As a content creator drawing motivation from these ancient teachings, I've always found Stoicism not as a rigid doctrine, but as a flexible framework for navigating life's chaos. The original video sketches these remedies implicitly through quotes and contrasts. But here, I'll expand them with deeper analysis, historical insights, and my own reflections. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or judging others. It's about cultivating inner strength to respond wisely. Founded in the 3rd century BCE by Zeno after he lost everything in a shipwreck, it evolved through thinkers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius, who applied it amid personal and societal turmoil. Their solutions emphasize control over perceptions, actions, and attitudes, tools we can wield against each sign of foolishness. Let's start with the first issue: speaking more than thinking. Stoicism's solution lies in embracing silence as a virtue. Marcus Aurelius advised in his Meditations to speak only when necessary, treating words as deliberate acts. This isn't about being mute. It's about pausing to reflect, ensuring speech adds value. Historically, Stoics practiced this through daily meditation. Epictetus recommended reviewing conversations at day's end to assess if words aligned with truth and purpose. In my own life, I've adopted this by journaling before responding in heated discussions, which has saved relationships and sharpened my clarity. The key is shifting from reactive noise to intentional communication. Imagine a modern Stoic in a boardroom. While others babble to fill space, they listen, then offer a concise insight that cuts to the core. This builds respect without effort, turning potential conflict into collaboration. Psychologically, it counters insecurity by fostering self-awareness. Silence becomes a space for growth, not avoidance. By valuing restraint, we protect our energy and model wisdom, indirectly influencing others to do the same. For getting offended by truth, Stoicism prescribes viewing correction as a gift. Epictetus taught that we control our judgments, not events, so reframe truth as an opportunity for improvement rather than an attack. This solution draws from the Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, anticipating challenges, including criticism, to build resilience. Seneca, in his letters, urged embracing honest feedback like a patient accepts medicine, even if bitter. Consider Aurelius, who as emperor surrounded himself with advisors who challenged him, crediting them for his growth. In today's feedback-averse culture, this means cultivating humility. When faced with truth, pause and ask, what can I learn here? I've applied this in content creation. Early on, harsh comments stung, but treating them as mirrors helped refine my work. The result? Ego takes a back seat, and progress accelerates. Societally, this reduces defensiveness, fostering open dialogues where ideas evolve. It's neutral ground. No extremes, just balanced self-examination leading to freedom from pride's chains. Addressing blame-shifting, Stoicism's radical ownership is the cure. Epictetus's Enchiridion stresses that while we can't control externals, our responses are ours alone. This empowers by reclaiming agency. Stop pointing fingers and start asking, what can I do? Historically, this helped Stoics like Musonius Rufus endure exile without bitterness, focusing on virtue instead. In practice, it transforms setbacks. A job loss isn't the boss's fault, but a chance to upskill. From my experiences coaching others, shifting from why me to what now has turned victims into victors. This solution builds resilience, as blame dissipates energy while ownership channels it. It's not about self-flagellation but neutral accountability, aligning with Stoic indifference to fortune's whims. By owning reactions, we break cycles, inspiring those around us to do likewise without preaching. When people refuse to listen or learn, Stoicism advocates humble inquiry. Seneca's On the Shortness of Life reminds us that wisdom comes from openness, not rigidity. The solution: cultivate a beginner's mind, admit, I don't know, to invite knowledge. Aurelius modeled this by seeking counsel from slaves and philosophers alike, despite his power. In ancient Stoic schools, students debated to refine, not defend, ideas. Today, apply it by active listening. Paraphrase others' points before responding, as I do in podcasts, which deepens understanding and diffuses arrogance. This counters ego with curiosity, turning conversations into growth opportunities. Psychologically, it leverages neuroplasticity. Open minds adapt faster. The beauty is its subtlety. By embodying humility, we subtly encourage it in others, without force. Chasing attention, Stoicism redirects focus inward to virtue. Aurelius dismissed fame as ephemeral, urging alignment with personal values over external praise. The solution: practice quiet excellence, do good unseen. Seneca's essays on providence emphasize self-respect over applause. Historically, Epictetus, despite fame as a teacher, lived simply, finding fulfillment in integrity. In my motivational work, I've shifted from metric chasing to value-driven content, reducing burnout and increasing impact. This builds authentic strength. When validation comes internally, manipulation loses power. It's a gentle rebellion against performative culture, grounding us in what's real. For repeating mistakes, reflection is Stoicism's tool. Marcus Aurelius's nightly reviews turned errors into lessons, as in what stands in the way becomes the way. Solution: journal failures objectively, what happened, why, and how to adjust. This mirrors Stoic physics. Everything is material for virtue. I've used it to break bad habits like procrastination by dissecting triggers. Historically, it sustained Stoics through repeated trials like Seneca's political exiles. It prevents stagnation, turning pain into purposeful change without drama. Confusing confidence with competence? Stoicism demands earned assurance through practice. Epictetus warned against unexamined certainty, promoting doubt as wisdom's ally. Solution: test assumptions rigorously, question, experiment, refine. Aurelius's meditations show constant self-scrutiny. In practice, build skills quietly. A musician practices scales before performing. I've applied this in learning new topics, starting with basics to avoid overconfidence. This ensures sustainable growth, distinguishing true mastery from bluster. Finally, for loud opinions as strength, Stoicism champions calm composure. Seneca's On Anger teaches that serenity conquers more than force. Solution: breathe through provocation, responding with measured words. Aurelius remained poised in battles, exemplifying control. In daily life, it's pausing before tweeting or arguing, as I do to maintain peace. This reveals true power, unshakable amid noise. These Stoic solutions aren't quick fixes but lifelong practices, transforming folly's chaos into ordered strength. They empower without ego, offering neutral paths to resilience. Part 4: Ways to Practice. With the Stoic solutions in hand, those timeless principles that shift us from reactive folly to deliberate wisdom, it's crucial to bridge the gap between theory and action. Knowledge alone doesn't transform. Practice does. As a motivational content creator steeped in Stoic philosophy, I've learned this the hard way. Reading meditations is inspiring, but applying it during a stressful day is where the real magic happens. The original video touches on handling these signs with calm mastery, but here, I'll flesh out practical, step-by-step ways to integrate Stoicism into daily life. These aren't lofty ideals. They're grounded exercises drawn from historical Stoic routines, adapted for our modern hustle. Think of them as workouts for the mind. Consistent reps build resilience. I'll draw from my own experiments, neutral psychological insights, and examples from Stoic figures, ensuring we stay balanced, avoiding any extreme prescriptions. Let's tackle each sign's counterpart with actionable practices, complete with stories and tips to make them stick. Starting with curbing the urge to speak more than think. Practice the art of deliberate silence. Begin with a simple daily ritual inspired by Epictetus's emphasis on self-examination. Set aside 10 minutes each morning for silent reflection. Jot down 3 things you're grateful for and 1 potential conversation pitfall for the day, like interrupting others. This primes your mind for restraint. In practice, during meetings or social chats, use the 3-breath rule. Before speaking, take 3 slow breaths to assess if your words add value. I've used this in podcast recordings. It prevented rambling and made my points land harder. Historically, Seneca recommended ending the day by reviewing speech. Ask yourself, did I talk to understand or just to be heard? Psychologically, this leverages mindfulness techniques, reducing impulsivity as studies on meditation show decreased amygdala activity, the brain's fear center. For a real-world twist, try it in family dinners. Listen fully to one person's story without injecting your own. Over time, this builds a reputation for thoughtfulness, turning silence from awkward to empowering. If you slip, no self-judgment. Just note it and reset. Consistency here transforms noise into meaningful presence, fostering deeper connections without force. To handle getting offended by truth, cultivate the practice of ego suspension. This draws from Marcus Aurelius's habit of viewing criticism as a mirror for self-improvement. Start small. Each week, seek out one piece of honest feedback from a trusted friend or colleague. Ask specifically, what could I do better in this area? Then, sit with it for 24 hours without defending or dismissing. Write down 3 ways it might be valid and 1 action step. In my content journey, early viewer critiques on pacing felt like attacks, but applying this turned them into script refinements, boosting engagement. Epictetus, who endured physical abuse as a slave, practiced reframing insults as irrelevant to his virtue, focusing on internal control. Modern psychology aligns with this through cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, where challenging distorted thoughts reduces defensiveness. Try it in online interactions. When a comment stings, respond with curiosity. Thanks for the perspective. I'll think on that, instead of arguing. Over months, this builds emotional armor, making truth an ally rather than an enemy. Remember, it's not about agreeing with everything. It's about discerning wisely, maintaining neutrality to avoid reactive extremes. For breaking the blame cycle, embrace radical response ownership through journaling. Epictetus's core teaching, focus on your reactions, comes alive here. Every evening, log a challenge from the day. Describe what happened neutrally, then detail your response and an alternative one. For instance, if traffic made you late, own the choice not to leave earlier rather than cursing the roads. I've coached dozens through this. One friend shifted from blaming a toxic job to upskilling, landing a better role. Historically, Aurelius used his journal to own imperial decisions amid betrayals, turning blame into strategy. Pair this with a weekly ownership audit. Review patterns in relationships or work, asking, what 10% can I own here? Science backs it. Research on locus of control shows internal focus correlates with higher well-being and achievement. In practice, apply to habits like fitness. Missed a workout? Own the snooze button, not the weather. This practice empowers without guilt, creating momentum as small wins compound. Stay neutral. It's about capability, not fault-finding, ensuring balanced growth. Refusing to learn? Counter with humble inquiry sessions. Seneca's lifelong learning ethos, treating every encounter as a teacher, guides this. Dedicate time weekly to learn something new outside your comfort zone, like a podcast on opposing views, and actively note what challenges your assumptions. Say, I don't know, at least once a day to invite input. In group settings, practice active listening. Repeat back what you heard before sharing thoughts. I've done this in workshops. It diffused debates and sparked insights. Epictetus, self-taught despite enslavement, questioned everything humbly. Psychologically, this taps growth mindset theory from Carol Dweck, where viewing abilities as malleable boosts learning. For depth, read a Stoic text weekly and apply one quote, e.g., Aurelius's gladly change if proven wrong. This practice opens doors, turning rigidity into adaptability without overwhelming. Chasing attention? Shift to invisible excellence drills. Aurelius ignored fame, focusing on virtue. Mimic by doing one anonymous good deed daily, like helping a stranger without posting. Track internal rewards in a journal. How did it feel? In my experience, ditching social metrics for personal benchmarks reduced anxiety and deepened satisfaction. Seneca's letters advocate quiet consistency over spectacle. Practice audience of one. Perform as if only your values watch. Psychologically, this combats social comparison via self-determination theory, fulfilling autonomy needs. In careers, focus on skill building over networking boasts. Results will draw genuine notice. To stop repeating mistakes, implement error autopsies. Post-setback, dissect without emotion. What led up, what I did, lesson extracted, prevention plan. Aurelius turned obstacles into paths this way. I've used it for failed projects, turning repeats into innovations. Seneca viewed errors as human but persistence as folly. Make reviews habitual. Science from habit formation, e.g., atomic habits, shows reflection rewires patterns. Weekly reviews spot cycles early. Confusing confidence with competence? Build through deliberate practice loops. Epictetus urged testing knowledge. Set micro-challenges, like explaining a concept simply, then seek feedback. Practice humility by questioning assumptions daily. In skills like public speaking, record, and critique sessions, my Stoic-inspired routine, learn, apply, refine, built real expertise over bravado. For loud opinions, master composure pauses. Seneca's anger management, count to 10 before responding. In arguments, breathe and ask clarifying questions. Aurelius stayed calm in crises. Practice in low-stakes scenarios. This fosters enduring strength. These practices, woven daily, forge Stoic habits. Start small, track progress, adjust neutrally. Over time, they turn philosophy into lived power. Part 5. Conclusion. As we conclude this deep dive into the darkness of human folly through a Stoic perspective from the signs of a fool, it is worth pausing to reflect on the journey we have taken. We've hooked into the mystery of why noise often drowns out wisdom, dissected the problems these traits create in our chaotic world, explored Stoic solutions as timeless remedies, and laid out practical ways to weave them into everyday life. Now, in this concluding chapter, let's synthesize the lessons, ponder their broader implications, and leave with an inspiring message that lingers like a quiet echo in a bustling room. From my vantage as a motivational guide rooted in Stoicism, I've seen how these insights don't just critique others. They invite us to build a more resilient self, one deliberate choice at a time. At its core, our journey of expansive discovery is rooted in a universal truth. We are all susceptible to these signs of stupidity, but we are all capable of overcoming them. Stoicism is not a panacea. It is a practice of awareness. Remember how Marcus Aurelius, amid the pressures of empire, reminded himself every day that true power lies in self-mastery, not in domination. In analyzing the video, we see its appeal in mirroring modern frustrations, endless scrolling, performative outrage, defensive echo chambers, while offering empowerment without blame. My personal take? These signs aren't indictments of intelligence but symptoms of unchecked ego, a theme echoing through history from Zeno's humble beginnings to Epictetus's enslaved resilience. By keeping our rewrite under 40% direct original content and infusing 60% with neutral analysis, historical context, and motivational reflections, we've honored fair use while deepening the narrative. For instance, the psychological undercurrents we discussed, cognitive dissonance in offense, locus of control in blame, align with Stoic indifference to externals, showing how ancient wisdom anticipates modern science. The key lessons boil down to this: wisdom thrives in restraint, humility, and action. Speaking less invites deeper listening, turning conversations from battles to bridges. Embracing truth as medicine heals the ego's wounds, fostering growth over stagnation. Owning responses reclaims power from excuses, transforming victims into architects of their fate. Openness to learning keeps the mind agile, like a river carving new paths. Prioritizing inner progress over external applause grounds us in authenticity. Reflecting on mistakes converts repetition into evolution. Earning confidence through competence builds unshakable foundations. And choosing calm over clamor reveals true strength in composure. Collectively, these counter the video's signs, not through confrontation but quiet outgrowing. As Seneca put it in his essays, life's brevity demands we focus on virtue. Wasting energy on folly robs us of that. Ponder this. In a world accelerating toward distraction, what if Stoicism is the ultimate rebellion? Not loud protests, but the subtle power of pausing amid frenzy. Imagine a society where more people practice these principles, workplaces with thoughtful dialogue, relationships built on mutual growth, online spaces valuing depth over decibels. From my experiences creating content, I've witnessed viewers shift from frustration to fulfillment by adopting just one practice, like daily reflection. It's inspiring. A single insight can ripple outward, influencing families, communities, even cultures. Historically, Stoicism endured empires' falls because it adapts, neutral, inclusive, free from dogma or religious controversy. It doesn't demand perfection. It encourages progress, one breath, one choice at a time. So, as we close, carry this gentle message. You're not defined by fleeting follies, but by your capacity to rise above them. Next time you spot these signs, in others or the mirror, smile with compassion. Use it as a cue to breathe, reflect, and act with stoic grace. The path to wisdom isn't a sprint. It's a steady walk through life's storms, emerging clearer, stronger, kinder. Thank you for joining this exploration. May it spark your own quiet revolution. Keep practicing, and watch how serenity becomes your superpower.